Good morning, sweet being. It is beautiful to see you out here in my world, which is not far from the Wellington Airport approach path, as you can hear. And I wanted to go live on the back lawn today, but the Wi-Fi said, I can't see you. So I decided not to push my luck. We are out here, and, it's not really a problem because, as you know, I enjoy this. There's colour on the ground. And I believe we looked at these leaves yesterday, and they're still beautiful today. It's just a lovely arrangement. There's all the colours. And forget not to appreciate the buttercup leaves back there. Morning, beautiful being. I can see you jumping on with me, and I appreciate it. And here's the Luculia, which I will prune soon. Let's see what we can see here. So it's got... I don't know that it would actually make any seeds, but that's what happens after the flowers. I am going to attempt to strike them. I always used to cut them at the wrong time of year, and they never took. But maybe at the right time of the year they will, because this is a fantastic... And you can't get them in the shops. Morning, Mike! So, yeah. Soon it will be attempt number however many to strike Luculias from cuttings, which is supposed to be easy to do. But I've never managed to do it. So here's what's left of the Japanese anemones, and I quite like this. See, these are seed heads. There's no viable seeds in them, thank goodness. This is a hybrid. Otherwise this would be a terribly invasive plant because it spreads by the root. Look, it's a fluffy thing. It's a lot like a strawberry, see? Same family, ranunculus family. Little gardening lesson today. And here's the wonderful foliage of the Ratamachea, which I really enjoy. Cut it down, it comes again. You can see there are big thick trunks down there now. They are 30 years old, and this is supposed to be a pot plant. But there it is, it's just beautiful. And see, it's starting to get as tall as a cherry tree now, so I'm going to have to cut it down in spring. I think I have to do it every year, if not every two. So here are the last leaves on the magnolia. And you can see that, as always, it is gearing up for lots and lots and lots of flowers in the spring, whenever that is. Everything is happening rather early. And, here are the water shoots, these sprouty things. I'm going to have to cut those off because this tree, if I back off, has a really nice structure, and that has not happened by accident. Every year I have to shape it to make sure that it stays like that, and also that it... there's things around it, and one has to make room, so there's quite a lot of work in creating space in a garden, especially when it's 30 years old. So winter is the time of year when you do that. So this is the rose bed. Not that I would classify this as winter yet, because it's really warm. So yeah, these are all potentials for spring, and they need pruning and tidying, but it's too soon to do that, and it's also too warm. If you prune before it gets cold, things sprout, and see, it's all scruffy, but things sprout, and then the frost comes and kills the new growth. So these are miniature roses, and I'm hoping that they will thrive next year because they were in the shade and suffering. You've got to have enough light. So we do have a few flowers on the feverfew plants, and I enjoy the bright green foliage. But, everything is sort of going to sleep, except for the cinerarias here, which are going to burst into colour whenever they do. They're not very far from now, I think. So that's the little garden tour. And it's all potentials. It's all things that are not yet realised. And I think a lot of our lives is like that. Quite often, there's just, things that we're creating and we can't see them yet. And there is a gap between what we feel inside ourselves and what we see, and the adventure really is bridging that gap inside ourselves. And there's a big story about that I'm living at the moment, but I'm living it, so I can't tell it because it's not lived yet. So today I'm talking about love, because it just flew into my head when I was thinking, what am I going to talk about today, Wednesday? And there was nothing burning and nothing floating around, and I just thought, I'm going to talk about attracting love into your life. Because, there's a lot of talk and instruction even about, you want a lover, you want a relationship, you want a partner, you want a family, whatever it is, and you make a list of what you want in the person or the whatever, and that's good, by the way. You do need to know what you're after. But what you have to remember is that when you make that list of that perfect person and everything you want them to be, that is based upon everything that's inside your head, which is all about the past. There is nothing that is inside your head that is about the future, because everything that is inside your head in your brain, all of the connections in your brains have been fired and wired together because of some experience you have had in the past. So the only stuff that's inside your head is about relationships and interactions and experiences you've had in the past, and those are the circuits you use when you are designing your ideal future mate. And they may or may not actually be the circuits that you really want to use. Because if you're unaware, for example, that you are quite victimized by your circumstances or things that happen to you or whatever, you are probably, I'm making this up, okay? You're probably going to look for someone who will make you feel safe or who will love you or whatever. But what you don't realize is that anyone that fits into that kind of pattern is probably going to be somebody who will take over or do things for you or make you feel safe, but then you're giving your power away from them, and the chances are quite likely that you will repeat some aspect of that victimization in that new relationship, but you're not aware of it. It's just who you're accustomed to being. So that's the challenge. Good morning! I can see little faces popping up and going away. I know you're there. It's lovely to have you with me. That is the challenge with creating the desires of your future based upon what you can think about and know inside your mind from the past. It is from the past. And so you have to understand those limitations. So, with that said, the thing that many people don't realize, or they hear it but they don't really understand it, because, this was me, really the only person that is going to be attracted to you and stick to you, one way or another, however you want to call it, come into your life and stick around, is somebody who's pretty much like you are. That's it. Really, we are looking for a match. When you meet, you go to a party or a gathering and you meet groups of people, and you talk to them, and you say, hello, I'm from here, and I've studied that, and I've done this, and I've had that experience. And I watched this the other day because I was with a group of friends, and some of them hadn't met before. And inevitably what we do is we are comparing memories and places and people and experiences to find out if we have experiences and people and places in common. That's what we do. Oh, you went to the same school. Do you remember that teacher who was just, oh, yes, and I remember that. And we are looking for people fundamentally, because remember, every experience makes a neural net in your head. Everything you remember is represented by a neurological network in your brain. So what you're really doing is comparing neurological networks. And you are looking, as you go through the room, you scan the room and you look for someone to whom on some level you can relate. When you're doing that, you are looking at those people, and the associative centers of your brain are using all of the things about pattern recognition, about, oh, that person looks nice and that person doesn't. And you don't do this consciously, but everything in your brain about meeting new people and observing people and the body language and the energy and the way they talk and the way they move maps back to something in your brain about, oh, I know what to expect. And so you naturally gravitate to some people and avoid others, because you can relate to them, because you have neural nets in common. That's how that's how it works. And so you're actually looking for somebody like you. Now there's a great challenge in that. If you don't like yourself, or you know that you have a tendency to codependency, I shouldn't have used that word, to giving your power away maybe, or to feeling helpless, or to feeling sad, or whatever, You are always going to find somebody who in some way, and not necessarily in a particular obvious way, is exactly the same as you are. Even if it's, the flip side of the coin where you have the victim and you have the perpetrator. Both of those people in that very dysfunctional interaction are actually the same. It's just that they're occupying different sides of the same coin. So you might say, oh, but that person who's abused me for the last 7 years, they're so not like me. Yes, they are like you. It's just that you're two sides of the same coin. You will find that they behave like that because they feel just as victimized as you do, but they are expressing their aggression and their desire to dominate because they're scared. Carrie Ann, it's great to see you. And whereas you are expressing the being submissive and being afraid so as to avoid being hurt, and in that way you sort of get to feel safe, and you do that together, and that's how it works. So, we attract people who are like us. We really can't avoid that. Consciously, you can try to go, oh, I need somebody different. I want to find someone else in my life. This is why people say, why do I keep attracting the same losers? It's because some aspect of you is the lock for that key. So what that says is that if you want to attract a certain person to be your mate or your companion or your lover or your family or whatever it is, you kind of got to forget about who you want that person to be, and you actually have to take a really good look at yourself, an honest, kind, but honest look at yourself, and think, would I go out with me? Really? Would I go out with me? What would drive me crazy about going out with me? Duplicate myself, to just sort of stand outside of yourself. This is using an ability that humans have, which is the ability to think about what you're thinking about, to observe yourself, to stand back and observe you. It's called metacognition, and allows us to do that because we have a frontal lobe. It's because it's 40% of the brain. The frontal lobe is bigger than any other sentient organism on the planet, and there are many sentient organisms. It is you, Louise. Good day, honey. Many sentient organisms on the planet, but nobody has no body. Then they are sentient. So much evidence for animals being sentient now, but none of them have the size of the frontal lobe that we do. And one of the functions of the frontal lobe is it allows us to observe ourselves. So if you exercise your ability to observe yourself and think, oh shit, would I go out with me? And I mean, how do you do that kindly? Well, you can imagine yourself, I hate parties, right? Don't ask me to go to a party. I'll say, no, thank you. I don't enjoy parties. I like small gatherings of 6 people or less, where I'm one of the 6. And there's not a whole lot of noise, and I get to actually meet people. I don't like parties. But if you're a party person and you like to go to places with lots of people to meet people and find somebody, imagine yourself in that situation. And you can freeze frame this. You can just walk through the room with like a push pause, and put yourself in the picture and walk through the room and watch yourself and watch how you behave. Watch the thoughts that are spinning through your mind as you're observing people, as you're passing judgment on them, because we all do. You can't help but assess what you like and what you don't like. I'm not saying that's bad. Just watch your thoughts. Oh, that person, and oh, look at what they're doing, and oh, I feel so. What do you Observe yourself. Notice. And, watch yourself for a week. You know how people who are wanting to change what they eat, and sometimes they will... Oh, I got to turn that off. Decline. Go away. Thank you. You know how people, when they want to change their diet, they will do a food diary? And they'll just look at what they have been eating for a week, just to get really honest data, so that it's kind of a baseline from what do I need to change. So you could do the same with, I don't know, how I'm being or who I am, or what sort of a lover would I be, or what sort of a father or a mother or a sister or a brother would I be. and just look at yourself for a week. Keep a diary. That's the voicemail. Keep a diary about your behaviours from the point of view of somebody who might want to be your spouse or your whatever, you know? Just look at yourself for a week and think about it. If I was doing this and this, but you know, like I'm sitting in my lounge and I'm eating my meal or whatever I'm doing, and if someone was sitting with me, what would they like about how I am? Because we tend to focus on what would piss people off. What would they like about this? What are my strengths? What would somebody love about me as I'm doing this? Okay, now what would somebody really not like about me as I'm doing this? Just be honest. Notice what you do well and what you don't. And, that can be scary if you've always been saying, oh, well, I just want the perfect person to turn up and they should be like this and they should be tall, dark and handsome or slim, blonde and, and buxom, whatever it is. But what about me? Would they want to go out with me? Would they want to be with me? What am I like to be around? How am I behaving? How do I talk? What are those thoughts in my mind? What vibe am I giving off? Would somebody walk into the room with me and go, oh, geez, you give me the creeps? We actually have to look at ourselves. And after you've done that for a week, or a little bit more if you feel, if you think, oh my God, I really need to look at this, and you think, I got to look for a bit longer. After you've done it for a week or more, you're going to start to get some sense of who you're being. And do remember to make notes about the things you do well and the things that you like about yourself, because it's so easy for us to focus on the things and, oh, nobody would love me if I was like that. It's very easy for us to make a big long list of all the things that we aren't, that we think we're not good enough about. So don't use this as an excuse to have an orgy of beating up on yourself, because some people will. No. Notice what you're good at. And notice what you're not so good at. Notice what you think, oh, God, that drove me crazy when my dad did that, or my mum did that, or my sister did that, or my brother did that, or my best friend at school did that, and now I'm doing it. Oh, geez. And this is when you get the opportunity to say, okay, am I going to classify this as a peccadillo and say, screw it, I really like being like this. Somebody that wants to be with me has to actually like this about me. Or, and that can be really valid if you think, no, this is a peccadillo, but I like it. I really like being this way. Or, is this something that I want to change about me? And, if it is, well, I better get on with doing that, because I want to be a person that I want to be with, so that the person that matches my neural nets, my way of being and my, blah, 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 is someone I like, because they're a bit like me. And yeah, you can make a list of the physical characteristics and the kind of way they think and the things that you're going to like doing together, and all of that is great. Nothing wrong with that. But understand, you are always only ever going to attract your equal. And you're only ever going to attract the person that you feel worthy to have in your life. So you want to be the person that you want to be with, and you want to feel worthy of having that person come in your life. Now, that's a whole different discussion. Becoming worthy means dealing with everything that you don't feel worthy about, right? And I know what that's like, because I'm doing it. And it's, by the way, Louise, it's great to be single if you want to be single. Being single means you are beholden to no one. You have your ability to make choices and do things. And it doesn't stop you from having meaningful relationships with people. All right, there was a bump on the internet. There are many ways to be. So, talking about this, it's not exclusive to romantic relationships at all. It really is about deciding who you want to be and realizing that the kind of work colleagues, the people who stick around in your life in either positive or negative way, are in some way a reflection of you, and there must be some energy that's bonding you together, because, we talked about that last week, I think, how you take two hydrogen atoms and they share an electron. They're literally sharing energy, and that energy bonds them together. And when you break that bond, there's a lot of energy to do that, and there's a lot of energy released, but then those things are free. And that's exactly what happens when we break our emotional bonds with people in our past that hurt us, or, the people we love to hate. When you stop investing that emotional energy in those things, and you pull your energy back into the present moment, and I haven't talked about doing that for a long time, so maybe that's tomorrow, you break those emotional bonds, and you stop pulling those people to you more and more again and again. Hi, Eves! That's the thing. That's the thing. If you break those emotional bonds, if you stop being that, whatever that person is, then you set yourself free from attracting more of the same. Because while you are continuing to put out the, oh, I hate everybody energy, and it's funny, there's just someone in my life that I'm really observing at the moment. Beautiful guy, so talented. He loves to be angry. He loves to hate. He thrives on it. It's amazing. It's not loving to him, but it makes him happy. It really does. He's not happy unless he's got someone to be angry with. And he does it in such a graceful way too. He doesn't actually project it on anyone, but you can tell he just loves to hate. It's incredible. It's amazing to watch in a sad kind of way, but it's his choice. He's having a great time doing it. So, and yeah, he is, truly. He's very happy being like that. I'm not going to mess with his happiness. So, we get to decide. We get to look at ourselves and decide, would somebody want to go out with me? And if they wouldn't want to work with me, would my favourite, would the colleagues that I want to work with me, would they like working with me? Oh, geez, there's a few things I need to change. And really, that's the sum total of it. You are always going to have in your life an exact representation. The sum total of it is going to represent who you are being. So in terms of relationships, take a good look at who you're being and decide if you like it. Decided to give me some weird choice. Voice recognition did something weird. So, if you want to be somebody different and have someone different in your life, well, that's what you got to do. Just make a really good decision and just change one thing. Because when you change one thing, you change all the others anyway. So I know I'm out of time. The one thing I wanted to say, because I am not very good at saying it, but I need to get better at it, is that if you find these lives valuable and if you receive value from them, please consider using the link that's in the words above this post or below it or wherever they are. There's a link in there that you can go to my website and gift me something, just to let the abundance flow back. I would really appreciate that. It's just a blessing to me, and it makes things flow for you. Big love. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.